Well, we have with us this morning Mr. Ralph Obasoge, who is a former manager, industrial and employee relations for all of Shell companies in Nigeria. Mr. Obasoge, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I do not know what you make of this development with NUPENG and Dangote refineries, but what are your insights from one who's been in the industry for so long on this particular matter?
Good morning, Mark. Nice to see you again. Actually, I think these things should be contextualized under various categories. What should be, what the law has stipulated, and then what should be pragmatic. We all know how tortuous the construction of the refinery was. So many frustrations that were put on the way of the owner, which is surmounted after so many delays, so much delays. And so what should be in the public mind is the survival of the refinery operations in view of what it is contributing to the Nigerian economy. All right, so that is where we should locate it. NUPENG and those involved, the petroleum tankers drivers unit of NUPENG, are the full soldiers of NUPENG. They are the militant arm of NUPENG, and it is what NUPENG uses effectively to prosecute all their issues and negotiations with various employers and stakeholders. So they are a very serious group. But at the end of the day, Nigerians should be focused on what will benefit the nation. And I think what we should be thinking about is for the fact that this refinery has so much credit to pay back. International credit, international loans. And the law is a bit silent on issues of industrial relations moratorium. NUPENG is right in insisting that the workers have the right to unionize. All right? But it is also, with all the various amendments to the Trade Unions Act, it is also the right of the workers. First of all, for NUPENG, their workers can contract out of the of any union affiliation or membership. While for the senior members of staff, which is Pengasa, it is voluntary. They have to contract in voluntarily or contract out voluntarily. So that is where it is. Those are the basics. And what should happen is that it is right that the government has stepped in. Are they doing it rightly? What is NUPENG looking for? NUPENG will tell you they are seeking for the welfare of their members and the rights. They want to protect the rights of their members, the right to unionize. But the bottom line is that it is all about economic benefits. Dangote at refinery at present produces 161 million liters of various petroleum products every day. And for every loading, every tanker that loads will pay 1 naira per loading. And that gives NUPENG a revenue, cool revenue of 161 million naira every month, every day, which translates to about 4.5 billion naira every month. And of course, they need this income or this levy to be able to also run their operations and pay their staff and everything. So, you know, as a union, they don't want to lose 4.5 billion naira monthly. That is really the crux of the matter.
Okay. And what will Dangote refinery have against that?
It's not really that they have, I mean, you've read their statement, you've read the public statements put out by NUPENG, you've read the right of reply exercised by Dangote refinery. Dangote refinery has said they are not averse to unionization. But one thing that is a bit grey to me, reading all these statements as all this crisis started, is the fact that it does seem that these tanker drivers that operate within Dangote refinery are not really members of staff of Dangote refinery. I think his cousin, Alhaji Dan Tata, forgotten his first name, actually owns these tankers. And so, to all intents and purposes, it does seem that as if the tanker operations have been outsourced. Dangote has the right to outsource these operations. They have the right to outsource any of their operations. Years ago, about 2007, 2008, I actually led the oil and gas industry in negotiations, tripartite negotiations in Abuja over the deployment of third-party employees. And we produced a fine document that is the procedure for managing the third-party employees. So if Dangote has outsourced the tanker operations to a third party, whether it is cousin or not, I think the industrial relations interface, the negotiation interface, should be between NUPENG and that company, the outsourced company, and not between NUPENG and Dangote. So that is not too clear to me, but from their statements and from the fact that NUPENG actually in their statement was calling out Alhaji Dan Tata, okay, who owns the tankers, to say he should not prevent their workers from unionizing, and then he was flying over when they picketed and blocked the road, he was flying an helicopter over them. So that indicates to me that the job of petroleum product transportation has been outsourced by Dangote. So it then baffles me why I still want to find out why NUPENG is not calling out Dangote refinery. Either because they know that when they embarrass them in public, they would then put their weight behind it to find a resolution. Dangote has told you another source of revenue is the check-off dues, which is automatically checked off from salary every month end. And Dangote is saying that those dues are being deducted and remitted to NUPENG. So if that is the case, it then shows that Dangote refinery is not averse to unionization. But if these tankers are actually outsourced, all right, NUPENG should be facing the owners of those tankers and not Dangote refinery.
All right, so I think the name that you were, Mr. Ralph, the name that you were looking for was Alhaji Sayu Aliyu Dan Tata.
Yeah, Dan Tata,
all right,
yes.
so basically what, and just so we can, give some context to what really happened, what NUPENG is saying is that on that day, after the meeting with 3 ministers at the DSS office, after that meeting, that Alhaji Sayu Aliyu Dan Tata, on Wednesday, that's the 10th of September, he told all the truck drivers who are NUPENG PTD members for several years to remove the union stickers from their trucks. Just so we can understand exactly what happened. He told them to remove the union stickers from their trucks. And then the next day, he told them to forcefully drive into Dangote refinery to load, and union officials stopped them from entering the refinery to load because their trucks violated union loading rules and regulations. So this is just so people can understand where all of this grass is coming from. And I get your point. If these tanker drivers are being outsourced, if that business is being outsourced to Mr. Sayu, to Alhaji Sayu, okay, so why is NUPENG not facing him and facing Dangote in this particular matter? But going forward, seeing as this is the situation right now, and we've also seen the response from Dangote, what should happen next in your view? Because you did the staff relations for Shell for a very long time. So yes. What should happen going forward?
You see, the law has set the framework for regulating industrial relations. It has set the framework for the interactions. One thing I will tell you is that there are two key things. You should always continue the job, and instead of war. Industrial relations is unraveled. Any issue, industrial relations is unraveled through extensive dialogue, involving dialogue, deep dialogue. They should continue meeting. They should not get tired, all right? Most of the times, the union wants to also try their luck. But when you speak truth to power and you let them see the reality and the picture, all right, they will listen. My own advice is this: the country should be concerned, because I do not think that Dangote refinery, with everything it has gone through, and with all the loans they are owing, should be subjected to any trauma, any industrial relations trauma. So when you then said Alhaji Dan Tata, Sayed Dan Tata, asked the tankers to go and load, has anybody ever thought of the monumental loss, daily loss, hourly loss that would impact Dangote refinery if the tankers don't load? Do you know how much revenue will be lost? And if there is a shortfall in projected revenues, how are they going to meet the obligations to creditors? It is a chain effect, and NUPENG knows how to effectively effectively how to do that. You know, one reason why NUPENG is taking this action is that most of the unions don't normally wait to follow the procedures, because if they follow the procedures stipulated by law, by the Trade Disputes Act, it will take them 7 weeks to even get to the point of being in court, the National Industrial Court. The framework is there. They should not go physical. They should not disrupt anything. You were talking about stickers. What are stickers to a tanker? If you remove a NUPENG sticker from a tanker, does it mean that the tanker cannot load? Does the engine stop working? The subsidiary issue they've raised is why are the tankers being converted to CNG fuel, compressed natural gas? I mean, it is very simple. It is a no-brainer for anybody to even talk about it, because the truth is that I, as a human resource director in some organizations, actually also managed vehicle fleet as one in charge of administration. And the issue of fuel, whether PMS, whether what do you call it, automotive gas, oil, AGO, is always a problem, because unscrupulous drivers, these are acting in individual capacity, not as a union. You fuel a tanker, maybe it's carrying about 400 liters of AGO to go and to drive from Lekki to a point of delivery in Anambra State. They stop on the way and siphon some of the AGO to sell by the roadside. That's when you get to Ore, you see them. You get to Asaba Bridge, you see them selling diesel. But when these vehicles are moving, we're using CNG to fuel, the cost per kilometer of travel is less. It's about 60% of what would have been if you use AGO. And then nobody has the technology yet to tap into a CNG, which is compressed gas. There will be dangers and perils for anybody that tries to do it. So it then means that if you carry a full load of CNG to drive a tanker to Anambra, to Enugu, and bring the tanker back, the fuel will be, and that will then reduce. You know, we're talking about internal efficiencies, economies of scale. If you then reduce your overheads, operational costs, then you are having more credits to be able to pay back to the banks. So Nigerians should be, all Nigerians from all walks of life, should be interested in this. I think my sympathy is more towards Dangote refinery. They should, I mean, if I was in that operation, I would know what to do, because there are things I cannot say on air. There are many strategies and tactics.
So it appears that from what you have shared with us, all is not exactly clean from the side of NUPENG either. So this is not exactly about monopoly, is it?
It is not. It is not about monopoly, because, like, you read the Dangote statement, I presume, because there were many other refineries that were licensed, 30. And my former colleagues in Shell are running about 3 or 4 of them. In fact, my neighbor in Lekki Phase 1, all right, is a part owner of one of the refineries. There are issues. The federal government is not able to supply crude to these refineries. You understand? And one of them has been operating for about 3 years. I missed the name now, but the name keeps on dodging from my brain. But they've been operating for 3 years, and they are producing, okay? Now, for Dangote to operate, you know, it doesn't actually get crude from the Nigerian government. It imports this crude at premium cost. At premium cost. And some of the finances to import this crude are also borrowed. So they must sell. They should have, you know, I don't know, if you borrow finance to open any company, you have a moratorium of about 1 year, 6 months to 1 year before you start paying back. I think it's something the federal government should look at, because if there's a monumental investment like refinery, they should be insulated for some period from any industrial relations trauma. NUPENG is right about the right to unionize, but we are talking about what is pragmatic. What would make anything that would traumatize Dangote refinery even in the next 5 years? Should I think the federal government should step in properly. I don't know if they have experts. I have a few of my colleagues who are experts like me in industrial and foreign relations. They should deploy them to this. The process provides for a mediator. A mediator is a voluntary, somebody of clout and respect, which both sides respect, both Dangote and NUPENG. We therefore mediate. If that mediation fails, the procedure then says that the minister can intercept the dispute and even appoint, do one of 3 things: either appoint a conciliator, which is the most popular option, or refer it to the Industrial Arbitration Panel. People forget that the Industrial Arbitration Panel do exist, but it's just that people are not patient to take cases there.
Mr. Obasogie, we'll be hoping that they take these options that are, clearly present to them and not go on an industrial action that could cripple the economic activity of the entire country. Well, we hope to see that resolved favorably. Well, we have to thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us this morning on the program. Mr. Ralph Obasogie is a former manager, industrial and employee relations for all of Shell companies in Nigeria. Thank you once more.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.